Hi ladies, I'm finally back with an update and I have a visitor. Say hi. He's looking at everything else but the camera, but I'm sure he will see himself eventually and take a look at the camera. I wanted to do a quick labor and delivery story. I've been meaning to do this for weeks, months. He is 11 weeks already, and I will be going back to work soon on the 4th. So I said, let me try to get some videos in before I go back to work. Although I do work from home, I'm sure it's still going to be an adjustment. And I would like to do a video explaining like what he's been doing these 11 months of life with mommy. So first and foremost, I was delivered on the 3rd of June because my OBGYN wanted me to be induced. I did not want to be induced. I thought about not going. I was talking to my husband about it. Of course, he was saying, no, we have to go. We have to do what the doctor says. The reasons behind me being induced were because of my weight, number one, and number two, IVF. So I was induced at 39 weeks and 5 days because I was admitted on the 3rd, and they gave me not Pitocin. I didn't get Pitocin yet. It was another drug. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, it's a vaginal pill that they insert you in, and it basically thins out your cervix. And they did that. Of course, I was being monitored, and every time I would have a contraction, I wasn't feeling them yet because I was just dilated to 1 basically, if that. But every time I would have a contraction, his heart rate would drop because my contractions were like 3 minutes long. So a couple times overnight while I was being monitored by the nurses, they would run in and like, oh my God, what's going on? Your baby is not liking your contractions, so we're not going to give you any more of the medicine, because I was supposed to get it like every 6 hours to thin out my cervix. Well, I only got the pill 1 time, and they were, telling me you may have to get a C-section based on how your doctor feels in the morning. So first thing, they monitored me all night, and first thing in the morning, my doctor came in and she told me she, recommended I get a C-section because 1 or 2 things were happening. Either his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, or he was low on amniotic fluid. And she was saying she wouldn't take the risk because right now is not a emergency. I can continue to be monitored and try to, go into labor on my own, but because I'm still at 1, she said that could take a day or 2, and I don't want to put your baby at risk with, his heart rate dropping that low. So of course I was upset. I had already told myself that if I had to have a C-section, I would, because I didn't come this far to have my baby, in any type of distress or anything like that. My pregnancy was awesome, and I wanted an awesome delivery. I was praying for a supernatural delivery. I was reading the books. I was doing the hypnobirthing videos and listening to that audio. I was falling asleep on them, so obviously they work. But unfortunately, God had other plans for this little guy, and he's actually really heavy. He's not so little. But yeah, so he delivered at 11:12 on the 4th via C-section. My hospital was awesome. The staff was awesome. I did have a doula that was visiting me towards the end of my pregnancy, but she did not come to the hospital because you do not have the doula come until you're like 4 centimeters or 5 centimeters, I think she told me to call her. But because I didn't dilate on my own, she did not come to the hospital, but she has visited me at home and called to check on him. He was 7 pounds 2 ounces when he was born, and I honestly thought he was going to be bigger than that. I'm actually thinking that because he was low on amniotic fluid, that may have had something to do with his weight. He was 20.5 inches long. The hospital said 20 inches, but when I was discharged on the 6th, we went to the doctor's the next day, and he was 20.5 inches, so I doubt he grew a half an inch in a couple days. So I'm thinking the hospital just did it wrong. I've heard people saying they provide wrong measurements because the babies are so, balled up. thinking they're still in the womb. They don't stretch their feet out. So yeah, I did not get like morphine or anything. I was given Motrin and Percocets, and those Percocets had me on I don't even know, a roller coaster. Like, I was so sleepy. And they did take away the pain. I did not take what they recommended me to take. I was able to take 2. I only took 1. So I took 1 Motrin every like 6 hours and 1 Percocet every 4 hours. I believe that was my dosage. And to be honest, I only took the Percocets for about 3 days, and then I stopped and was just taking Motrin because I could not be tired trying to breastfeed. He was cluster feeding all night in the hospital. During the day, he would sleep all day. So when I was, wheeled back into the delivery room, they gave me something in the IV. And of course, I had an epidural for the C-section, but there were so many people in there. I guess I wasn't too focused on the pain until they came to press on my stomach to make sure my uterus was contracting. And that was like the worst pain ever, especially just being cut open. But they do it for vaginal deliveries too. But my grandparents were there. My mom was there. My mother-in-law, my husband, my sister, my niece, and my nephew. Like, we had a full room. And that hospital does not have any guidelines or restraints on how many people you're allowed in the delivery room. So I was going to have a full house when I delivered, if I delivered vaginally too. Of course, my grandfather probably wouldn't have been in there, but everybody else probably would have been. And we had visitors all day that day. My sister, which is his godmother, and his god sisters, and just a lot of people just came to, show their support and pray for us. So we was super grateful. Breastfeeding has been going really well. As soon as I was cut open, as soon as I was given him, he latched on because I had a gentle C-section. So that meant that he, was given to me as soon as they got him out. And yeah, so for the most part, everything went unplanned. I had an unplanned C-section, not an emergency, but an unplanned. And unfortunately, I did not have any recordings of the delivery. We have a couple pictures, but if I could do it all over again, I would hire a photographer to come in the hospital and film and, take pictures instead of using the photographer from the hospital, because that's what we did. We used the photographer from the hospital. So I'm going to cut the video here, and I'm going to come back and do 1 through 10 week update with him. So I'll be back shortly. Thanks again, guys, for all your support and prayers.